Magic, White and Black, the science on finite and infinite life. The quality of psychic emanations depends on the state of activity of the center from which they originate. For each thing and each being is tinctured with that particular principle which exists at the invisible center, and from this center receives the form of its own character or attributes. They are symbols of the states of the soul of each form. They indicate the state of the emotions. Each emotion corresponds to a certain color. Love corresponds to blue, desire to red, benevolence to green. And these colors may induce corresponding emotions in other souls, especially if the emotional element is guided by reason. Blue has a soothing effect and may tranquilize a maniac or subdue a fever. Red excites to passion. A steer may be furious at the sight of a red cloth, and an unreasoning mob become infuriated at the sight of blood. This chemistry of the soul is not any more wonderful than the facts known in physical chemistry. And these processes take place according to the same law which causes chloride of silver to turn from white into black if exposed to blue or white light, while ruby red or yellow light leaves it unchanged. The thoughts of the universal mind expressed in matter on any plane comprise all the forms of the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms on earth, including the bodies and souls of all beings. Their physical forms are the expressions of three principles, and each material form contains within itself its ethereal counterpart, which may, under certain conditions, separate itself from the more material part, or be extracted therefrom by the hands of an adept. These astral parts may be corporified and be rendered visible. Actually, all bodies, even the most solid rocks, are nothing else but corporified astral appearances whose innermost substance is the fire whose light is their life. Every individual being is a flame in creation whose light differs from others according to its own particular attributes. Astral forms continue to exist for a while after the visible bodies to which they belong have had their fire extinguished. They may be artificially infused with life and with a borrowed consciousness and made use of in the practices of necromancy and black magic, or be attracted to spiritual seances to represent the spirits of the dead. Such persons are suitable mediums for so-called spirit materializations. Their ethereal counterparts may appear separated from their bodies and assume the visible form of some person either living or dead. As the brain is the central organ for the circulation of nerve fluid, and as the heart is the organ for the circulation of the blood, so the spleen is the organ from which the astral elements draw their vitality. In certain diseases where the action of the spleen is impeded, this double of a person may involuntarily separate itself from the body. Such cases of doppelgangers, wraiths, apparitions, ghosts, etc. Usually these astral forms are without consciousness and without any life of their own, but they may be made to be the seat of life and consciousness by withdrawing the life from the material form and concentrating it into the astral body. The forms in the realm of soul, in which the fourth principle is the essential element, are still more ethereal and more independent of a definite form. Concentration of thought gives shape to ideas and condenses the formless into forms. Purely spiritual or abstract ideas such as love, faith, hope, charity, etc. Among the ancients, it was customary to make such personifications of impersonal powers and to describe their functions in symbols and allegories. As there are three elements represented in the three kingdoms of the physical plane, so there are three kingdoms of elementals existing on the astral plane, corresponding to the elements of fire, water. Their bodies are of an elastic semi-material essence, ethereal enough so as not to be detected by the physical sight, and they may change their forms according to certain laws. Bulwer Lytton says, "Life is one all-pervading principle, and even the thing that seems to die and putrefy but engenders new life and changes to new forms of matter." Equally so with the inhabitants of the atmosphere. Our skeptical age is accustomed to admire in such descriptions the fancy of the writer, never suspecting that they were intended to convey a truth. But there are many witnesses to testify, if it were necessary, that such invisible but substantial and variously shaped beings exist, and that they, by the educated will of man, can be made conscious, intelligent, visible, and even useful to man. This assertion is supported by the testimony found in the writings of Rosicrucians, Kabbalists, alchemists, and adepts, as well as in the ancient books of wisdom of the East and in the Bible of the Christians. Such existences are, however, not necessarily personal beings. They may be impersonal forces acquiring form and life and consciousness by their contact with man. The gnomes and sylphis, the undines and Salamaides, do not entirely belong to the realm of fable, although they may be something very different of what the ignorant believe them to be. How insignificant and little appears individual man in the infinity of the universe. And yet there is only a comparatively insignificant part of the universe revealed to him by the senses. Could he see the worlds within worlds, above, beneath, and everywhere, swarming with beings whose existence he does not suspect, while they perhaps know nothing of his existence, he would be overwhelmed with terror and seek for a God to protect him. And yet there are none of these beings higher or as powerful as the spiritual man who has learned to know his powers, and in whom his own God has awakened to consciousness and strength.